When you feel like you're at your wits' end, that's how you know a breakthrough is on the way. So for the people that are watching this and they're maybe saying, well, I'm just tired. I'm tired of work. I'm tired of another inspirational. I'm tired of another. Let me tell you something. When you feel like you're at your wits' end, that's how you know a breakthrough is on the way. You're right there because it's like always when you're right there, you feel like you want to quit. You're great at the beginning, you good at the middle. But once you are about to hit a new threshold or you're about to have a new breakthrough in your life, whether it's starting habits, completing habits, whatever it is, if you feel like you want to give up today, you're right there. And know that it's not about how you finish, it's about finishing and being a finisher.
Hey guys, before we get started, I have one quick favor to ask of you. Can you please hit the subscribe button so that more people can find the show? Thank you. Mira, welcome to Give Yourself Some Leeway. It was actually great getting this together because you were telling me about the mirror method only a few weeks ago, and it really resonated with having a high achieving listenership and imposter syndrome and this feeling of perfectionism really takes a toll on high achievers and really sets them back. So, when it comes to the mirror method, was this a light bulb moment for you, or was it something that took a long time before you realized this was something you needed in your life?
That's a great question. Well, I want to start by saying hi, I'm Mirah Young. I am the author of The Mirror Method. I have my book right here. I'm the author of The Mirror Method, and I am so glad to be on Give Yourself Some Leeway. Because the simple fact is, to answer your question, it this book resonated with me when success started to feel like a burden. When it started to feel like something that was another task that I had to accomplish that seemed never ending. And that is where I found myself in a VP role, but feeling like I had imposter syndrome in this situation where I felt like I was progressing but stuck at the same time. And then I realized I was doing everything but being my most authentic self. So this is what prompted me to write the mirror method because it really puts you in a place to look in the mirror, to reset, reflect, and to look at yourself deeply and challenge yourself to be your most authentic you. The book is 7 scriptures, 7 stories from my life, and seven journal entries. So the book is for anyone that really just wants to stop hiding and wants to reconnect with the real them, not the titles, not the labels, not everybody that that people perceive you to be, but who you truly are. So when you look in the mirror, do you like what you see? And that's the number one question that I ask myself and I ask my readers.
When was the first time you asked yourself that question? Do you like what you see? And it just struck you that you didn't like what you saw.
Oh, that's a great question. The first time it probably had to be 2021. I always ask myself the question of who am I? And I thought that that was a powerful question at the time. Like, who are you? And defining who you are with segments within your life. Who are you? Are you an engineer? Are you you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a go-getter. But I never asked myself, do I like who I am? Do I like what I see? You know? And it wasn't until 2021 that I said, I don't think I can continue living this feeling, this stop and go life where I'm progressing on the outwards, but I'm degressing inwards because I'm not giving myself and allowing myself the progress that I need um personally. And that's for anyone that journals or if you don't journal, I encourage you to journal because you'll start to see patterns of, well, what is my real issue? What is my real problem? And why do I keep on finding myself in the same situation? Once I started to journal, I started to then go back in my journals and say, okay, if I'm like, okay, if I find myself in a financial situation where it's like, well, goodness, how do I keep on finding myself in a situation? And I go back 2 years and I'm looking at my journal and I'm like, wait a minute, I was in this situation before. Or if I'm like struggling with fitness and I'm like, oh, why can I lose the weight? And I go in my journal and I read and I say, I see patterns of times where I was very high stress or high emotions, and that connected with my fitness journey, or that connected with my finance journey, or that connected with my emotional connection with my friends and family. So that's why I asked myself the question, do I like what I see in the mirror in 2021? Because I started to see patterns of things I didn't like, and I didn't know why I didn't like those things.
So before previous to 2021, you were already journaling. This was something that you did on a regular basis, or was it only after 2021 when you asked yourself the hard hitting question, "Who am I?" that you said, if I track this, I might get to know myself better.
So I'm gonna give you an interesting story. So I always journal. My grandma died at a young age of 36 or 38. And one thing she left us was a journal behind, and she knew her days were numbered. So she spent time journaling every day so that she can leave her thoughts and memories with her child at the time, because I wasn't there, I wasn't born, but to leave those memories. So I always took journaling into my heart as something to do to leave to my legacy. So when I look at journaling, I feel like I'm writing to my future grandchildren, my future family, because when I'm able to read through that diary, I can see those words and it's like I can feel where she was at and I could see it. So I want to be able to give that to my future family, my future grandkids, and so that they can understand my experience and that we are all going through a human experience, and help them through times that they may feel like is it's hard. And how do you get through this, because you never know when your day is, you never know what may happen to you, but you can leave somebody your deepest darkest moments where they may have not communicated that with anyone, and they read your journal and they say, I can get through this because you got through it. So that connection prompted me to become a person that writes down my experience, writes down my deepest fears, my greatest moments, my greatest achievements, and my true feelings, and be able to share that at a later time, not only with myself, but with that shall live beyond me, honestly.
I love that because you're showing your vulnerability within the journal. Whereas I know a lot of people who will take journaling and they'll keep everything at face value because of the risk that someone might read this one day and the whole facade will just drop. And they'll say,
Mhm.
"Oh, that facade that I was keeping up all these years, if I share all my secrets in a diary or in a journal, I will be found out someday." So I think what you're doing and being vulnerable in your journal, the same way that your grandmother was, is that you're setting yourself up for living a life of authenticity where you don't have to hide. And you know that someone's going to read it someday, or you're going to read it 5, 10 years from now and look back in hindsight and say, oh, maybe it wasn't all so bad, or maybe it really was, but I was strong enough to get through that.
Right. And that's really what it's about. When we look back, we want to say, oh my gosh, I remember I was going through that. And it just seemed like the biggest thing in your life. And then, like, 5 years later, you're like, oh, you don't even remember until you look at it. You're like, oh my gosh, at the time, it felt like the world was crashing on me. And now you're able to breathe. So I definitely would say that these moments, of your moments of calamity, your trials and your triumphs should be recorded. And if someone does see them, it's that time for them to see them, but be true to yourself, because someone needs that. And it may be your future self, it may be your future child, your future grandchild, or honestly it might just be the version of you that needs it tomorrow to say, I got through that. So I definitely like to journal to see the patterns and to see the transformation that took place. And we talked about that on our last call, as far as like atomic habits, just having those habits to make that change. So I'm grateful that I was able to get the experience to understand the importance of journaling because, like you said, you never know who's going to read it. You can be here today, going tomorrow, and then it's like, well, what was he thinking? What was on his mind? Especially for men, I don't feel like men are as vulnerable with their emotions, or with communicating sometimes how they feel, what they feel, and writing that down and having that where someone could really listen to your feelings. I think that's transformational because as men, having brothers, having cousins, everything is not said, but sometimes the weight of the world, it could feel like it's on your shoulders. And then it's like you may have other outlets, but as women, we want to know what's going on. We want to know what you're thinking, what's going on in your mind. And maybe you can't convey that without being cut off or, feeling like I'm not being heard or feeling like you already know what people are going to respond to. So just speaking to yourself within those journals and having those to leave to your wife or your children so that they can know what type of person you were and what was your heart posture is very important.
Hey, it's Eugene, and I want to share this milestone with Give Yourself Some Leeway. So in 2025, the podcast has surpassed 150 episodes. We've created a safe space for high achievers to be vulnerable, to share their experience with stress, overwhelm, and burnout, and help others in the process. And while I'm celebrating this milestone, I still feel like I've missed the mark. You see, people tune into every episode, they listen to every conversation, but they still tell me that they're lost, stuck in a rut, unsure of where to go next. And I totally get that. I mean, I used to listen to 8, maybe 10 hours of podcasts every day, but still not take any action to move the needle. You see, if you change nothing, then nothing changes. So if you want to break the burnout cycle and you don't know what the first step is, let me help you out. If you take 5 minutes today and answer a few questions, I can send you a personalized roadmap on how to break the burnout cycle and start beating burnout today. And if you say to yourself, oh, I don't have 5 minutes to take out of my day, I've got way too much to do, I'm overwhelmed as it is, I've got too many priorities, I've been there. Just ask yourself, how can I take care of others if I don't know how I'm showing up for myself? You deserve to give yourself that leeway. You deserve to give yourself 5 minutes to see where you stand. So click the link below and I'll send that report straight to your inbox today. I feel that when it comes to men speaking up, it's very important that men do learn to speak up about these things because when they're in the workplace, yes, extroverted men can speak up in the boardroom, but they don't really share their stresses and vulnerabilities or what's really going on personally. They don't share that with the guys. Whereas women are much more open about their feelings and they can express that and regulate that emotion. But men don't regulate that as openly. And that can build up. And then they have the inner critic, they have that self narrative, and that bubbles with the emotion, and it might come out in one outburst with no meaning or understanding where all that emotion really came from. Whether that be in journaling or just having someone to open up to, learning how to regulate that emotion is often overlooked as, oh, I don't have time to be dealing with emotions. I'd much rather be at work. That's a very common narrative that I see with men. Um, it's I feel that journaling is something that is also often overlooked as, oh, I don't have the time to spend journaling either in the morning or in the evening. How do you help someone get started with journaling?
That's a great question. So I believe that let me tell you how I got started. Let's say this. I usually journal in my notebook, but I wasn't able. Oh, my dog is making her debut. Okay. I usually I usually journal in my notebook, but I found myself feeling like I had to segment out time. I had to, really make a difference with that. Like, okay, I got to get a pen, I got to get the notebook, all of this. I'm a faith-based Christian. My YouTube channel is pretty much faith-based, but I have a Bible app. And on the Bible app, it's like one scripture, one line they'll send you every morning. And that'll remind me like, oh, wait, let me go in there and you can add a prayer. You can add a journal quickly. If you're not religious, you don't want to download the Bible app, you can do reminders on your phone. And I have a schedule for reminders on my phone to say, take 5 minutes to breathe, take 15 minutes to yourself, schedule 5 minutes to write notes about how you feel right now, or just put in the reminder, how do I feel? And then it'll, like, I have my watch, I have my phone. So it'll come up on my phone and I'll be like, okay, how do I feel? And I'm like, what? What is this? But it's really, think about it as you sending a future text to yourself every single day, and then just schedule it for 5 minutes and put it in your notes. How do I feel? If that's the only thing you do, and start small. Don't take an hour journaling. Don't take 30 minutes. Take 5 minutes to say, this is how I feel. This is what's going on today. That's it. Because I don't want people to be overwhelmed with spending 30 minutes talking about how they feel. Now, if you go over the time, that's fine. But segment out 5 minutes on your calendar where you can put a reminder on your calendar to journal, or to say, how do you feel? Or to say, do you like what you see in the mirror sometime? Because most of the time we look how we feel. So we may, if you not feeling well, or you just like, it's raining, I don't feel like doing anything, I just want to lay on the couch, I just want to eat chips and Cheetos. If you feeling like that and looking like that, and you say, do I like what I see in the mirror? Most of the time, you're probably gonna be like, not really. I didn't put no effort into this. I was just, lazy. And then when you go back through the week, just a quick exercise you can do. You do it for 5 days, and on Friday, say, read your 5 minutes to say, okay, dang, the whole week I was feeling bad. The whole week I was, or the whole week I was feeling good, so that you could start to see yourself. So I think journaling starts with 5 minutes a day, putting a reminder on your calendar, either your work calendar, your phone calendar, just to take that time, because everybody has 5 minutes. And you know how I know everybody on this call got 5 minutes? Because everybody got 5 minutes to scroll on that phone and look at stuff that ain't got nothing to do with y'all. So, with that being said, I know you got 5 minutes to take to yourself.
At the very least, 5 minutes. I know people who are doom scrolling for 20 minutes and longer. And like, this is like, it was one of the workshops I've done on connection, helping people to build deeper connections with each other, is having no phone zones in the house. So like the bedroom, the bathroom, the dinner table, the kitchen, no phones, no phones, especially when you're eating, when you're in bed. And they were like, "What am I supposed to do when I'm in the bathroom? What am I supposed to do if I'm not on my phone?" And there's like, read the shampoo bottle, as like these moments where you could be present with yourself. These moments when you can be present with the people around you. It's people are so accustomed to having their phones all the time and doom scrolling, or feeling busy going through work emails after work before they go to bed to get ahead for the morning after. These are all things that we're disconnecting from ourselves.
Right.
Whereas we could take those 5 minutes to answer those questions. How do I feel? Who am I? Do I like what I see? If I look in the mirror, am I happy with what I see? And be honest about that. Not that we always come from the negative self critic and always put ourselves down, but be open and honest with ourselves and say, do I like what I see? No, I don't like what I see. But it is 100% in my power to change that. I can take accountability and I have the power to change that.
I totally agree. And to your point, I know we talked, I feel like we talked yesterday. Like, time goes by quickly when you're having fun. I'm telling you. Um so I know we talked a while ago, but it did feel like yesterday. And that one thing that I wanted to mention was, we have our we have a segmented life that we live. We are leading people we are, trying to manage a household of some sort. If you live somewhere, you managing it. We are trying to lead our lives. But I think we put leading our lives on the back burner. And another reason why I wrote the Mirror Method and why this connects so well with what you're talking about as far as doom scrolling, burnout, is because we need to be self leaders and lead ourselves into a direction that brings us awareness. I have pretty much led teams, small teams, medium teams, not that large. I haven't led like 100 people or anything, but small and medium teams I have led. And also, I've led managers that are leading teams under me. And what I find greatest about management is they love to tell other people what to do. Even if they haven't done that process, they don't understand what it takes that goes in that process. They love to tell people what to do. But when you look at some of these managers, and I had to do an audit on leadership and management, and I see people not self-managing their self. It's kind of like if you want to, I don't want to get trained by someone that's 400 pounds telling me what to eat. You understand? That doesn't make sense to me. But when you're talking about intellectually leading people, you can't see what someone knows, but you can see what they do. And that's the same for self-leadership. You know, and it's even deeper because you know what you do, but sometimes you don't see yourself. You see one thing, and how this connects to doom scrolling is people see, because of the perception online most of the time and the standards and whatever you're watching, you may start to see yourself in a view that is not true. And you don't really see yourself for who you are, because you can take a photo, have a conversation, get likes, get comments, but that doesn't capture the essence of who you are. And when people are doing a self-evaluation of themselves, they're evaluating themselves on, well, people like me, my success, my achievements, my this, my that. But what about those moments where no one's watching and you continue to let yourself down? And you continue to have lack of discipline and very little principles, and you'll get to it tomorrow. But you go and work and you expect everybody to be that perfect model soldier for you. And I see that kind of leadership without self-awareness and without self-leadership, it can it can help others push them into a great direction. But when I started to see myself, and I said this in the beginning about regressing, because it's like you're progressing, achieving outward, but was I really achieving inward? Because after all of that, telling everybody what to do, looking at everything, now I want to chill. I want to, sit around and lay down and I'm just so tired and make excuses for myself, but not allow others to make excuses when I'm at work. So it's the duality of, are you that same person that's going to be able to lead when you're off the clock? Are you that same person that's going to be able to lead when you're the results that are going to be shown? And I think it's easy to say, but tying it into the atomic habits, people have great habits for work performance, but not great habits for purpose performance. And that is why I said I want to do the mirror method, because I had great habits for work performance. I want to work. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to make sure I do everything. I want to talk to everybody. And then it's like, but my life is like, I don't really have no friends. I don't really have no social life. I don't have anything that is not tied to work. And what does that say about me? That says that I'm not living on purpose. I'm living on performance.
So what you're saying is when you're telling people what to do all the time, but not actually doing it yourself, kind of hypocritical in a way. When and no one wants to follow a leader who only tells them what to do but doesn't live it out themselves. People follow what they see
Right.
their leader do. So the leader shows the way, doesn't tell them the way, they show them the way. Any great leader shows the followers where to go, what to do. And so it's coming from that angle. It's I think the best analogy is any parent telling a child what to do. The child isn't going to do what you say; they're going to do what you show them to do. They're going to follow the parent's habits.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that. I love that because everybody wants to blame everything on somebody else. But when you're the only person to take accountability, what actions are you going to make? And I want people to ask themselves that. If you can't blame anybody else, what can you say for yourself so far? And are you happy with where you have been? Because the decisions that you have made have led you to the place you are today. So are you happy with that? And if you are, great. And if you're not, it's time to change your habits. It's time to change your mindset and it's time to get on purpose. You know, and I believe that it's all in perfect timing. So for the people that are watching this and they're maybe saying, well, I'm just tired. I'm tired of work. I'm tired of another inspirational. I'm tired of another. I listen, I've been on purpose. It give up. Let me tell you something. When you feel like you're at your wits' end, that's how you know a breakthrough is on the way. You're right there because it's like always when you're right there, you feel like you want to quit. You're great at the beginning, you good at the middle. But once you are about to hit a new threshold or you're about to have a new breakthrough in your life, whether it's starting habits, completing habits, whatever it is, if you feel like you want to give up today, if you want to feel like you want to give up this week, you're right there. So stay in there and give yourself grace and know that it's not about how you finish. It's about finishing and being a finisher. And I say that because when we connect what I'm speaking about to burnout, it's so important that people understand that it's okay to rest, it's okay to reset, it's okay to reflect, and you will finish. But if you decide that you're going to continue and you're going to give your last and you burn out and things are not done right and it's just whatever and it's laissez-faire, that's when you might not finish, or if you do, it's like you look back and you're like, oh, I could have did better than that. But you didn't rest, you didn't reflect, and you didn't give yourself grace. So when we talk about burnout, I really want to talk about people giving their self grace, people giving their self the ability to understand that it's okay to let go. It's okay to know it will get done. It unless you're a brain surgeon watching this, it is okay. Okay. If you are, it's not okay. You got to get on your job. But if you are a person that is so enthralled with work, with family, with everything else, and you just feel like, when is the last time I did something for myself? It's okay to take a break and to do something for yourself. And it could be little, it could be big, and it can be just something that you haven't done in a while that makes you smile. It could be something creative that's like, okay, I'm going to just go on a whim and do something, but give yourself grace and step away from the things that you feel like has been burning you out and step into something new.
I love that, especially when I see this thing, especially in coaching, where there's a lot of overlap when it comes to burnout. People, and especially we're seeing a lot of, very recently, a lot more people talking about creativity as a
Mhm.
way of healing burnout. And I love seeing that. I really do, because people need that outlet in their lives also. And they think that once they become an adult, that they need to do all the adult things and they have to leave their childhood behind, leave all the creativity behind, leave all the fun stuff behind, and focus on their career, focus on their pension, on their retirement fund.
Right.
When that's really missing the whole point of what it is to be human. We need a full balance. We need to be curious. We need to be creative. We need to still embrace fun, no matter at what age. Because especially if we have any children, and if we're in our lives, be it our own kids, nieces, nephews, friends, or even grandchildren, it's if you forget how to have fun, how can you help them to learn what fun is really like? If you can't connect with them and share, well, how you played as you were a kid, how can you share that with future generations and show them what fun is really like beyond what's on an iPad, beyond that scrolling is the only type of fun they know. Then how are they supposed to know swings or slides or playing in the mud? These are things that we still have to have our silly side. We still have to have our creative side. And that, in its own way, helps us to get into our default mode. It helps us in the long term in our professional lives also. Because if we're stuck on a problem, and if we keep on overthinking a problem, it will stay stuck because we're thinking about it too much. But it's only when we take a step back and take a deep breath and focus on an outlet, we don't focus on that problem, that's going to be in our subconscious whirring away in the background, and it's going to eventually come up with a solution itself when we don't focus on it. And it's funny how those things work. Sometimes I recently I forgot the password to the pin code for my work phone, and I was like, oh, I actually I can't connect to my work phone. How the hell did I forget the pin code? And I was like on my last attempt, and I was like, okay, I really can't mess this up.
Oh
And
gosh.
so I just like locked the phone and put it away and forgot about it. And then I went for a walk on my lunch break. And next thing I just came back and I was like, oh, it's simple. I know the code. It was so easy. I've known it the whole time. Why did I get to my last attempt? It just like hit me. But I needed to, because I was so overstimulated with everything else that was going on, I couldn't access the part that remembered the password. I had to
Mhm.
take a step back and clear my mind to be like, oh, it's this little folder inside my mind palace, and take out the iPhone password.
Right. And that's the power of pause. And that's a strategic move. And I think that people don't want to pause because everything is so fast. Everything is going at rapid rates. And it's like if you don't get it right now in this second, like, you're on a computer or you're like, I work with some older people sometime and they're like, what's going on with the computer? Why is it not working? I'm like, it take a little minute because they're used to everything on the computer just going so fast they can't even see it. So it's like when it does take a little minute, it's like, what's going on with it? So I do believe the power of pausing, it really reconnects with your strategic mind to say, I have the answers within me. It's that's the true power that we all have. We already have the answers within us. But are we tapped in enough? And a lot of the times, I feel like I'm all over the place. But I guess my coffee got me going strong. But we do have the power within us already because of the simple fact that we don't take a pause and we're looking for Google and everybody else to tell us the answer. We forget that the answer is already right there within us. It's already, we have all the answers we need. And I didn't know, just to your point about creativity, I didn't know that a lot of people, a lot of coaches that were doing burnout was doing more creativity things. But that's good to know because I recently, this weekend or last weekend, I was like, I'm gonna color, like get a coloring book and color. Just do something different, something free 99, but different and something that's just like open my mind because usually I'll sit online on Saturdays and I'll just look through contracts and I'm like, I'm not going to do that this weekend. I'm going to color. So I definitely think that's a great strategy to help people to connect back with their true being and then connect back with answers that they feel like they didn't know, like the password. And it's like, yes, I do know this answer because you are strategic and you know how to pause because you have the power within you. So I love that scenario. And I think that that's happened to me a couple times throughout the weeks is like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What is going on? And then I'm asleep and I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like, I know the answer. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, why am I even still thinking about that? But yeah, I love that.
I think it was in Atomic Habits that James Clear had no, it wasn't James Clear, it was Adam Grant. Adam Grant had a post about um he was so like overstimulated and he wasn't he was kind of like in a creative block. And
Mm.
it was while playing Mario Kart with his nieces and nephews that the creative block just broke, and he got his creative flow going again. And it's like when we're so caught up in the hustle of things that we're like, no, we need to keep on go, 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 go. But what we need to do is, as you said, pause. We need to take a step back. We need some kind of outlet, some break from or from the normal, or from the hustle, from the grind, from the go go go, so that our brain can break down those processes that are taking longer than usual. It's like, as you said, having a computer with 100 tabs open. There's a time when we need to shut down all those tabs and then reopen Windows again,
Right.
and not have 100 tabs open. Okay, let's have the 5 or 6 pinned tabs and leave it at that, and they can start processing it a bit more quickly. Um, so yeah, that was a Mario Kart example. On your part about the coloring books on the creative, it was funny that you mentioned the coloring books, because the guest that I'm going to have on about the creative side for healing burnout, I mentioned, oh, is this like the adult coloring books that we see all the time, people coloring in? But she said that that's like an outlet, but it's still providing too much guidance, where you're still thinking about painting by numbers.
Mm.
Whereas if you just have a blank sheet of paper in front of you and you're asked to draw something, you just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think of drawing something abstract, or think about a cloudy day. What are the lines between the clouds? What are the outlines of the clouds that you would draw? That's a lot more free and easy and more creative flowing than coloring in a book. And one of the biggest objections that we see when we try this with in workshops with leaders, or in team building workshops, and you say, look, I want you to draw a picture of an apple, or I want you to draw a picture of a circus. And they say, oh, I'm not good at drawing. I haven't done this since I was 4 years old. I'm not going to do drawing. And Diana, the guest, she pointed out, she said, all I tell them to do is pretend you're 4 years old again. Just pretend you're 4 years old and draw like a 4 year old. And you'll access that creative side, and you'll find out how much fun it is to access that creative side of ourselves. Because we all still have that inner child. And it's only by ignoring that inner child that we see our lives getting a little less colorful.
That's true. That's true. I love that. And I think that um I did do the page with no, like, just a white page. But I love that, that is, to know that's healing in that. And I know that that's something that I learned in psychology, probably in high school. And that's why I went back to it. I'm just like, this is I remember, like, opening up different realms of your mind. I believe your creativity is in your frontal. It might be in your frontal, or I don't know. You're the smart one here. You tell me. You're you're the genius, actually. They might not know that about you, but which part is the creativity in? Is it your frontal or
For the last one I had on said that the logical side of your brain is the left and the right hand side is creative. Was
Mm.
that was the last thing. I'm no brain surgeon or expert on the anatomy of the brain, but I think the left side is logical and the right side is creative.
Got you. I was segmenting it a little further than that. That's why I'm like, wait a minute. I'm just kind of like, I'm going too deep into it. That's why I'm like, I'm off the coffee hard. But any matter, I do believe that that is truly a healing technique, and that can be a outlet for burnout when you don't have time. You don't, you might like going fishing. You don't got time to do that. You don't got time to, drive somewhere, get dressed, do this, do that. You just something quick and easy, and it's a reset for your mind. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I love is it's the simple things that people need to change, and people feel that they don't have the time to embrace the simple things when they have so many things going on in their life, and they have all the stresses and responsibilities and the workload piling up, that they feel that they don't have the time for the simple things anymore in their life. Be it, um, as I said, having a creative outlet, taking time to breathe, taking time to smile. Taking time to smile is a big one for me that I tell a lot of people start the day with a smile. And they're like, well, that's easy. Anyone can do that. And I'm like, great. Start today. Start with one smile and see where it takes you. And they say, oh, that's so ridiculous. Why would I even do that? I'd probably do that anyway. But it's only once you bring it into your awareness how often you smile, how little you may smile, depending on the day. And sometimes it has to be a forced smile in the morning, but you need to instill it as a habit. As we said with James Clear in Atomic Habits, if you don't make it a habit to smile, then those muscles are not going to be used to moving.
True.
And it's only once you get into the habit of smiling again that you realize, oh, I smile more often. I smile at other people more often. Other people smile back at me more often. And what kind of shift will that make in your life if you're seen as not the stern, scary business person? Now you're you're the really smiley one in the office, very approachable. That person's always smiling. I wonder what's lighting up their day.
Right. And I talked to you about that. I talked to you about that last time we spoke because I was like, I have a chapter in my book called Simply Smile. So this chapter is very much so what you're talking about. Like smile and thank God you have the ability to smile. And I just did a video on YouTube about the power of smiling and how it not only changes your atmosphere, your energy, your vibration, but also the people around. They want to smile too because people want to be in on something good. So I love that you lead with that, you end with that because that's also a characteristic in my daily life. I cannot live without. I have to smile. Like I wake up smiling. And I know this sounds crazy, but I'm so grateful that I made it to see another day because it's people that didn't. And I am one of the lucky ones. So I'm just like, all right, we made it. We're in here. We're back on earth, So I just love that I'm able to make it to another day. And that if you don't have nothing to smile for and you breathing, that's something to smile for. Because I'm going to kind of get into my personal story now. I know we talked a lot about my professional, and then we also talked about my book, but I want to tell you why smiling, the power of smiling, resonates with me so impactfully. I was in a major car accident in 2017. This car accident that I was in, I was on my way to school. I had a two-door Honda Coupe and I'm riding on my way to school and I'm in college and I take the same road every day. And this day, someone ran a stop sign. When they ran a stop sign, I crashed into a tree and I was technically immobile. I could barely get out of the car, but I heard a small voice tell me, you need to get out of the car because I thought the car was going to blow up because I just ran into a tree. It was like mangled in the tree. I had to get out of the car. I looked down. My bone is out of my knee, like out of it. I try to get out of the car. And I tell you, if you've ever felt a pain that feels like a unsurmountable level where you can't even feel it no more because it just your brain is like can't even believe it's happening. That's the kind of pain I was in. I crawl on my back all the way to a two-lane street. I crawl all the way to the other side of the street. When I get to the other side of the street, I was screaming help. Now, I lived in the country at the time. Not many cars came down this road. Not only was my car in the tree, but the car that hit me, their car was flipped over, like flipped on the hood. So I can only imagine if they were able to get out. So When I get to the doctor, so the ambulance came, we did get help. When I get to the doctor, they look at my leg and they're like, you have to go into emergency surgery and you may never be able to walk again. And hearing that news, I could not believe it. I was shook into the core. So I literally, um, I just went through the surgery and I said, I will be able to walk again. On, I don't know if you can see this picture, but this is what the car looked like. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I'll like send it to you so you could kind of see give it to the viewers. But the car was cooked, fried, done, like done. And it took me a year to gain mobility back in my legs and in one of my left hand, my left leg to be exact. And every morning I would get up and I had a cast, I had a walker. I was just in a like the my leg was in a vegetable state. I would get up every single morning. I would go to the garage and walk back and forth in the garage. It's not that far of a distance, but I would do that for at least an hour, 2 hours. I would go to physical therapy. I did everything I can do, and I was able to walk again. And I tell that story because even through that, I had to smile. I had to know that things were going to get better. And the power of belief and continuing to smile through the hardest moments is what matters when you feel like you want to give up or you feel like, I don't want to smile. I don't feel like doing it. Just remember that it may be somebody that's going through way worse and they're still continuing to smile. And one of those people was me. And because of my smile and because of my belief, not only do people feel more open to helping me and just giving me grace, but also it gave me the power to keep pushing and going when I felt like I wanted to give up. So I wanted to just share that story with you. That story is in my book, but I just wanted to share it with you because that really resonated with me, the power of smiling.
Yeah, no, Maria, thank you for sharing that because it it really shows your strength, a testament to your strength also. So whatever comes up, and we mentioned this earlier in the journaling, when you look back in hindsight to how you felt during those times and how you overcame your emotions and your narrative in those times, that when you put things into perspective, with that frame, it's like what I'm going through now. Is it anything like what I went through then? And if you have that as a reference point, you can say, well, I overcame that. So why should I even question how I'm going to overcome this now?
Yeah, and that's what I really want your listeners to know. Like, no matter what, sometimes it's not about your focus. I mean, it's not about focusing on your performance, whether it's at work, whether it's like, well, if you're like an exercise freak and you're just like, I got to work out and you didn't work out or you're trying to lose weight, you're like, dang, I didn't do it. I didn't do this. I didn't do. Don't get down on yourself. Just be grateful for what you did do. Because I think what we have these expectations of like being social media ready with multitude of things, whether it's finances, fitness, relationship goals, kids, this, that, and the third. You want to be social media ready. Like you want to take those pictures, you want to do this or what have you, especially as women. I can't speak for men, but especially as women, we want to have that social media readiness that we forget to just sometimes be yourself. And it's okay. You fall short. It's okay. You don't make the deadline, but don't allow doom scrolling and don't allow social media and don't allow the perception of the world to overtake your purpose, your being, and who you are because you're trying to fit into their box and not fit into the box that you already have. Because I think that's what happens. It's like we come up with a million excuses because we have a million distractions that's already taking up the time that we're supposed to be spending on our purpose. And I want people to know that it's time to let go of the excuses. It's time to let go of maybe even in my book, I talk about doing a fast. You don't have to fast from food. Fast from something that's distracting you from getting on purpose or doing what you're called to do. And that can be anything. That can be fast from social media, fast from getting online every single time you feel bored, anxious, anxiety. It's like work through that and you will start to feel better. But I think we're in a society, especially in America, where now I see people and they'll like if they're anxious or it's like you're in a line and it's nothing to do and everybody just kind of looking at each other, it's like, let me get on my phone really quick, because it's like you don't really want to talk to anybody, but you don't really want to be you just like, let me get on my phone. And I see people do that, and I see people do that in high pressure situations. And I also see people drop one addiction for another. So if you were an advocate smoker, advocate drinker, and now you're like, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing this, I got news for you. Social media is the worst addiction because it's victimless in a way. But I did watch this show. I don't know if you guys have A&E out there, but it's this show called Intervention. Have you ever heard of that show? So
No.
in America, of course, we have big addiction problems to everything. But the show used to be Intervention, where if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, they would come to your house and you have a meeting with your family and say, hey, we want to have an intervention with you. We want to get you help. These are the things we've seen in the past years, and we really want to help you. The TV show is going to help you get you in a rehab, X, Y, and Z. Now, back years ago, say 10 years ago, that was what the show was about, drugs and alcohol. Today, presently, they no longer do addictions on drug and alcohol. Their addiction, the show is called Intervention, but it's intervening on people that are addicted to social media, and it's affecting relationships within their family life and within their work life balance. So that blew my mind because a show got replaced from like some of the top selling, things to now people are just on their phone. And they're like, well, you could say this. This is so easy. When you watch it, when some people that are addicted to their phones, they're watching these videos and they say, well, it's easy for you to say, and you can let this go and you can let that go, or burnout is inevitable because we all got to work, we all got to do this. But they're not thinking that that hour you spent watching those videos is burning your brain cells equivalent to if you were smoking. It's burning your brain cells. And that is also taking time away from your family, checking in on people, saying, hey, how you doing? Or even feeling social. Because I think now young teens, they have social anxiety because they're not used to talking to people. They're used to texting and like seeing people online, but they're not used to having face-to-face conversations. How you doing? How you feeling? You okay today? They're not used to doing that. So when they do have those conversations, they feel like, what is going on? Let me give a yes or no answer. I don't want to be in this conversation too long, because they feel overwhelmed because it's not normal. So, well, at least out here in America, it's not normal. And I see the social anxiety ramping up over and over again. So I definitely would say if you're feeling like you need to reset, give yourself grace, give yourself some time off of the phone. Like Eugene said, we need to have no phone zones, even if it's for a short amount of time. Print something out and put it on the no phone zone in the kitchen, wherever, so that you can remember, because you might give yourself a pass sometimes. So just remember, no phone zones. And most importantly, continue to be your authentic self, and don't let anything be an impression on you that stops you from doing that. And get on your purpose, and don't worry about performance just for a while.
I love that you touched on the social media aspect as well. When it's not only that people are scrolling, it's also a compound of them. When they're scrolling, they're either sitting or lying down, and it's that
Mm,
inactivity that's also affecting their health.
yes.
And it's like we're seeing a lot of people who are not only sitting at, they're saying that sitting is the new smoking, because sitting
Mm,
at office desks is like you're ruining your hips. and your hip flexors. So like when people are scrolling, one of the reasons why I make the bathroom a no phone zone is because people are sitting on the toilet for a lot longer than they should be, uh,
Mhm.
and that's not healthy either. But it's the not only the nature of the doom scrolling and our attention always being on it, but it's the again the compound habits that come into play with that. It's either lying down, probably getting neck pains, dropping your phone on your face, another risk. We see it happen, and
Oh,
I and sitting and just sitting down for too long. When
yeah.
if we're more social, when we're outgoing, we're not always going to be sitting down. We're going to be out walking. We're going to be meeting people out in public spaces. These things have a compound effect on our health also. And just quick to your point about people not knowing how to have conversations. I saw a statistic about Gen Z in the workplace don't know how to answer a phone call, that they
Mm,
get anxiety over ordering anything by phone call, or making reservations by phone call, or when
mhm.
they pick up a phone, they don't say hello or they don't greet the other person when they answer. They wait in silence for the other person to respond.
Yeah. And that is mind blowing. And that's why we need to have more conversation, get out, get up. If you want to scroll, if you say, I don't care what y'all talking about, listen, at least go to the store, walk around a Walmart, walk around a superstore and scroll then and get your steps in. Okay. Get your steps in and just see people. And I encourage people, just say hi, talk to people. How you doing? Sometimes I ask people how they doing, and I got a great I talked to some guy and he was like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm doing great. And he's like, are you really? And he's like really trying to have a conversation with me. And I'm like, I love this. So I love that you never know where a conversation is going to go from a hello. So don't be scared to talk to people. If you see them, don't be scared to say something to them, and just really start to have more genuine interactions with people. Like, how are you truly? Like, not just how you doing. Okay, fine. Okay. Because usually it's so automatic. People are just like, how you doing? I'm doing good. Okay, so let me tell you, but it's like, take a second and give yourself grace. And once you give yourself grace and start to reflect and reset for yourself, you'll see yourself giving others grace as well.
Yes, I love how people find, as you said, that social media is so victimless. But what we're finding is because people have higher social anxiety and they don't know how to be human anymore, that we're seeing more workshops, people looking for how to be more human, how to
Mm,
connect as human, how to have more person to person in person and face to face communication and relationships, and just overcoming that social anxiety. That it's crazy to think that social media was created to help us connect with the world, and if anything, we're a lot more disconnected as a
yeah.
result.
And I know I'm going over my time, but I just want to mention this because I think that this is so important that this is on my heart. But ChatGPT is not your friend. And get yourself some friends, okay? I've seen a lot of stories of people trying to connect and have a personal relationship with a robot, with an AI. Get real friends that are going to hold you accountable, that are going to be there for you, and that have a soul. Do not try to have a personal human connection with something that can never be human. That is so important because I think people are trying to replace humans with AI to hear what they want to hear and get people to say what they want to say. We're real people. We're never going to be exactly what you want. But that's the beauty of us. That's the beauty of people. And I want people to start to get out there and to find their tribe because it's someone for everyone, whether it's a friend, whatever it is, it's someone out there for you. But do not rely on any AI to give you the feeling of having human connection because it's false and it's not true. And and you deserve to have human connection and true love and people that care about you and that can pick you up and pull up at the hospital if needed. Okay. So please do not rely on ChatGPT, AI at all for friendship, relationship, in any capacity.
Mean that ChatGPT won't call an ambulance for me?
Listen, if
I
it
can't reach
will,
out to Siri to call an ambulance.
I don't know if they're gonna come. If they don't, your friend got more actual uh resources to get you there than Siri. And if your phone's dead, you're cooked. So 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 I definitely would encourage people to get some friends, get a community around them. And I mean, ChatGPT is good for a tool, but it's not good for personal relationships.
Yeah, and great to your point that people are seeking out ChatGPT and these AIs and chatting to them because they reassure them. They don't challenge them on anything. They just reassure what they say and reinforce everything and be like, yes, everything you just said is perfect. You can improve on this, but you don't have to because everything you said is perfectly on point. And they can prompt it not to challenge them also. But I feel that there's no way of growing without being challenged, without being seeking that discomfort, and that's what sets I feel a lot of high achievers and leaders apart is because they seek out that discomfort in order to grow.
Right. Right. And I don't know where that came from, but I feel like this is my second time talking to you. You have a great ability to, you're a great listener, but you're also you have the ability to really help people to curate not only their story, but admit the true things that are on their heart, I will say. And I definitely believe that podcasting is for you for those reasons because you're a great listener, you have great questions, and you truly exude what I would think a podcaster would be as far as your conversation, your questions, and also giving yourself a little leeway. So I love that. So thank you for having me on. I know I went a little bit over my time, but thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, Mira. I really appreciate that. So it gives me a bit more confidence that AI is not going to replace me just yet.
It never will. It never will.